The Dallas Mavericks with a 1.8% chance. I assume you've heard by now, but maybe not. The Mavericks have won the number one overall pick. They win the draft lottery on Monday night, and they get that top selection in next month's draft. And that means they are going to plant the flag, as in Cooper flag, the pride of Maine. The greatest thing to come out of Maine since Blair in Maine. The freshman who was part of the Duke basketball team that got to the Final Four and then went belly up in his lone college season, giving up all that NIL money to go to the NBA, the Consensus Player of the Year, the John R. Wooden Award winner. And so he will go to Dallas, barring some kind of failed physical, or maybe Nico Harrison will hear that he doesn't like to work out and he enjoys cheeseburgers, and then cheeseburger, he won't go to Dallas. But aside from that, San Antonio will pick second. Philadelphia, considered by many to be the big winner outside of Dallas, Philadelphia will draft third. They were most likely going to give up that pick. It was expected they would, but they will not. And the Charlotte basketball team, another lottery pick. It doesn't matter. They're in the lottery every year. They have a top 7 or 8 pick every year, and nothing changes. History just repeats itself. But the story, don't bury the lead, my man. All right, the story is Dallas picking at the very top of the draft. And there are many screaming, yours truly included, that it's rigged. It's a rigged deal. It's a rigged playing field, the NBA draft lottery. So let us discuss. Buy or sell a widespread conspiracy theory that the NBA rigged the lottery to send the top pick and thus Cooper flag to Dallas to complete a previous transaction. So on this one, we have the Kool-Aid, President Bush, and blubber. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to enjoy some delicious nachos, because whoever's going to Dallas is going to enjoy some great nachos there and hang out and live the life and all that stuff. The Mavericks, let me start here. My first thought on this, the NBA has a history of being shady. Now, listen, I watch it and I enjoy it during the playoffs. I don't really enjoy it much during the regular season. I do. I used to be around the NBA a lot back in my younger days, and I had a great time. I have great memories of the NBA. That being said, they don't get the benefit of the doubt on these situations. And so in terms of the conspiracy, if you've heard the show over the years, you know I am a case-by-case conspiracy theorist. I don't blindly believe every conspiracy. There are some that I absolutely believe. For example, the night the lights went out at the stadium in Baltimore, the Orioles and Mariners, there was a power outage just in the neighborhood around Camden Yards, and there was an incident involving Cal Ripken. His streak would have ended early, so they made sure the power went out and all that. I believe that conspiracy. I think that Michael Jordan was suspended for gambling, and they sent him to Birmingham to play out his suspension for a couple years before he went back to the Chicago Bulls. I believe that one. The one that is universally agreed upon is that the NBA rigged the draft lottery. Way back in the day, they rigged it. So we'll get to that in a sec. But I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm the Kool-Aid man. Oh, yeah. I'm the Kool-Aid man when it comes to this, because let me make my elevator pitch. It makes sense. The Mavericks gave away the biggest asset. They did the thing you can't do at the time you can't do it. No one gives away their top player the way the Mavericks did, for essentially some ramen noodles and hot water to be named later. That's essentially what they did. And if you're going to get rid of a top player, you shop the player around to try to get the most in return. Dallas decided just to give him to only one team, the Lakers. That is malfeasance at the highest level. That is high crimes and misdemeanors. That is a felony in the business of professional sports, and the Mavericks did it. Now, the theory, there were multiple conspiracy theories at the time. One of them was that the Mavericks owner wanted to undermine the fan base because they wanted the team to move to Las Vegas. There was another one that the NBA orchestrated Luka to go to the Lakers. Television ratings were bad. The NBA was in the final year of one TV agreement. They were about to go to the new TV deal, which starts next season with Amazon and NBC, part of it. Turner's out. And so they were trying to fortify the ratings. They were trying to get the ratings up. And so what better way to get the ratings up than to just drop Luka Doncic into L.A. for nothing, right, for trash. And that's what happened. So that happened. And so then this would be the other part of that. Dallas got garbage in return. They got a fragile, broken down Anthony Davis who appropriately got hurt his first game with the Mavericks. Perfect. Max Christie, who's a jag, just a guy, and one first-round pick in 2029 for their top player and a fan favorite and all of that, and a team that was coming off an appearance in the NBA Finals. So nobody does that. Nobody who's trying to do things the right way does that. So the lottery win, I again will go back to some sorcery here, if you will, because there was some funny business going on here. In the real world, the secret code was given by the NBA to unlock the treasure map, and here it is. Quid pro quo. You help us out, you give the Lakers a player they don't deserve for nothing, and we'll take care of you. Okay, we'll get you that number one pick. We're good. And I don't even know if it's illegal. People are like, well, it should be an investigation. Like, they're an entertainment business. They can rig the draft. Like, what is the crime? Who's going to go to jail? If the NBA came out today and said, we rigged the draft, here's how we did it. Like, what's the charge? Like, they'll say, hey, we're a sports entertainment business. This is entertainment. It's a plot twist. It's a storyline, and we're all about the storyline. But as far as the details on this, the Mavericks, again, they helped the league. Favorable treatment from Adam Silver, the commissioner, and the people underneath him. A 1.8% chance to win. You got to be joking, right? You got to be joking. That is a dead giveaway. Dead giveaway. The kind of funny business that has been going on in the NBA for multiple generations. We are going back 40 years. 40 years. 1985. Patrick Ewing, the frozen envelope. And if it's not rigged, then why don't they just show it? The NHL wasn't a great product, but they showed it on TV. They showed the actual lottery process, the National Hockey League. And even if you show it on TV, there are still ways to rig it. Like, there's ways you can doctor it and futz around with it and all that stuff, but they don't show it. Now, secondly, wide-angle lens. What does the number one overall bet really mean in terms of wins and losses, context of the big picture? So what does it really mean, right? What does it really mean here? So the arithmetic is not kind. As President Bush said back in the day, it's fuzzy math. It's fuzzy math. The assumption is if you get the top pick in the draft, you are guaranteed to be a contender. You are a championship team, and you have a good chance of winning a championship. So let's dive into that. What do you say? Let's see if we can find that out. Is that really the way it is? Because that's how it's sold. I watched the opening part of the lottery, and it's like, oh, these are how players change franchises' fortunes and lead them to the promised land. So there have been 75 top picks in the Pro Bouncy Ball draft since 1950. 75. Number one overall picks, 1950. And of those, what percentage has won a championship with the team that drafted them? What do you think? How about, you got a number? How about 12%? 9 out of 50. 9 out of 50. So that means 41 were drafted and didn't win bupkis for the team that they were drafted by. And how about the modern? You say, well, who cares about 1950? How about the modern era? Okay, so the modern era since the year 2000. Holy crap, that's the modern era. Since the year 2000, it's even worse. There have been 25 top picks since the year 2000, and only 2 have won a championship, and they both did it on the same team. That was the LeBron James, who left to go to Miami, came back with Kyrie Irving, who was also a top pick, and that's it. Those are the only 2 since the year 2000. So what does that mean? Get to the point, please. So it means that Cooper Flagg looks great on a tablet watching highlights on the YouTube. But as far as him being the Messiah, the savior of the Mavericks, history says he's not going to lead Dallas to a championship, right? And, of course, this all tells you what has happened, not what's going to happen. The odds, though, since the year 2000, you are much more likely to get the next Andrea Bargnani or Markelle Fultz or, God forbid, Ben Simmons with the top pick in the draft. And when Flagg, what he will do when he arrives, when he shows up in Dallas, is he will thaw out the coldness. Like there's a new opportunity. My argument is as long as Nico Harrison's the GM, the stank's going to be there. You can't trust. The perception is, and again, I tend to buy into the conspiracy. As I pointed out, I buy the conspiracy that this was done at a higher level, at the ownership level, and between the league. That being said, though, if I cared about the Mavericks and I own the Mavericks, I would fire Nico Harrison today. I'd have a clean start and say, Nico, you're done. Because even if you bring Cooper Flagg in, who's to say that Cooper on the road, they go to a buffet somewhere in Milwaukee and he gets fat and then Nico trades him, gives him to the Lakers for some washed-up celebrity that was last famous in the 70s. Why not? What the hell? All right, final thought. So we were told that Mark Cuban, the number 1 fanboy of the Mavericks, no longer the owner, but Mark Cuban had to call the new Mavericks owner, Patrick Dumond, to let him know that they procured the top pick in the draft. Do you find it odd? Here's the question. Do you find it odd that the Mavericks owner, Patrick Dumond, was not paying attention to the draft lottery for the team that he's running? So you can't see me, but I'm nodding my head yes. I'm nodding my head yes. So let's discuss this. So Mark Cuban calls up the owner and says, hey, we're in the top 4, and then we got the number 1 pick. Now, is this a big deal, a little deal, or no deal? To me, it's a big deal. Because Dumond, now, people say, well, he was at his daughter's track meet and all that, and people will dismiss this and say, well, you're just being a hater, dude. That's why you're doing the overnight show. You're just a hater. Yeah, okay. This is amazing. We live in a wild, wild, wild world, in a world with things called Wi-Fi. It's amazing. So while many will dismiss this and just say, well, he was just being a good dad, he was prioritizing his family, we think it's a big deal because you can multitask, right? Dumond is still new to the Mavericks, and one of the conspiracies, aside from the one we shared earlier, one of the conspiracies was, we don't really know what he's doing. He's not really a basketball person. And this would buy into that narrative that he's just disengaged, that this is just a property, that he doesn't really have any passion for it, and just like he's married into the family, and it's a gambling family, and they're using the Mavericks to get a casino in Dallas, and so it's all part of that deal. He doesn't really care about the team. So this is tossing blubber into the polar bear cage, big piece of blubber. So you tell me you can't multitask, even at 1.8% chance. Like, you wouldn't just pull your phone out and watch on your phone like so many of us do while they're at a sporting event, the kids wrestling, or at a track and field event. There's 8 million events. You wouldn't dust your phone off and check that out. Come on. It's ridiculous. The smartphone. You can be the dad of the year and watch your daughter run around a track and also watch the lottery. It is possible. If it's in your blood, if it's your passion, you'll figure out a way.